third episode of today's Loose Lips. This is the ninth feature installment. So if you're new to Loose Lips, I'm Ben Random. What you can do is find the back catalogue of all the previous chats. You can find them on YouTube. Go to Pop Cult Chic and you can see the back catalogue. And likewise, if you want to follow on Instagram, there's pop.cult.chic and all the back catalogue is on there as well. So far, we've had a bit of a all over the world feature today. We first of all spoke with Nick Muldoon, he is in Buffalo. We spoke to him about the filmmaking, film critiquing side of things, and then the chat just previous, we were in Cape Town with Chris Jack of sneakerstories.tv, speaking to him about the world of trainers. Right now, we're going to hop across the Atlantic and head to Boston, Massachusetts for my boy Cam, who's in the group. You just need to send me the request, mate. Once you send the request, I can connect and we can make this happen, man. Emperors! Just waiting for him to send it through. Oh, here we go. Let technology do its thing. Yeah!
Yes, mate. How's it going?
How are you, brother?
I'm chilling, man. Chilling. Just in my backyard, enjoying the beautiful weather we got today.
Give us a bit of a tour. Give us a bit of a whirl.
Well, can we turn this camera around? Oh, there's not much. So there's not much of a back garden, like. Just here, it's cute.
That's how I imagine American porches, fully just sitting on a rocking chair.
Yeah, well, we had a porch out front which has been taken off. They just took it off yesterday.
What do you mean? Like Lego just went, no, we're putting that somewhere else?
Well, yeah, we have our porch out above on the first floor. So they just took off the railing basically and took off the decking, and they're going to redo it in a couple of weeks. So that was out of action. So I've just kind of got my spot here. There's my old bike that I let my housemate use now. But yeah, it's my cute little white house,
You've been doing a lot of cycling, haven't you? You've been, yeah. Is that something that when you got out there you were conscious of to get to know the city a bit more?
I think it helped, and it's a great way to get around in this city because it's not very well planned. It's not very easy to get around. There's a lot of public transport, but there's lots of traffic on the roads, and the train systems, especially at this end of town, is super slow to get into Boston. And I don't like waiting. So even in winter, I would be cycling to work. I would just wrap up warm, 2 pairs of gloves, even when it's snowing and minus, however, just because I didn't like it. But yeah, I got cycling a lot, and then it was a great way on my first couple of summers my second summer, sorry, because I've kind of moved over here in the first, and I just worked as soon as I got here. I just kept working. I had to work straight away I didn't have any money leaving Leeds, especially on my Porto bartender wage. But yeah, so that was the best way to get around. I was living 8 miles out of the city as well when I first got there, so I ended up doing a lot of cycling. I would occasionally get the train when it was too hot. But now I cycle for my living as well. I pedicab, which is those rickshaw bikes.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Do you get talking to some cool characters in there, man?
Oh yeah. Yeah, loads and loads of people, because when it's busy, and you can give tours, and when you're giving tours to people, you got them for an hour and you really get to know these people, and some of them have really awesome backgrounds, but most of the time they're just they hear the accent and they're like, oh, where are you from? I want to know about you. Why are you here? What's your story? How are you living in Boston right now?
So what do you tell them? That's a good, pretend I'm in the back of the rickshaw, hey, what's your story then? How have you ended up in Bostonia? No one calls it Bostonia at all.
Bostonia, Beantown, I don't know. Boston kid. I tell them when I moved over and that I've got family in the area, because my father is from Boston. He was from again about 8 miles north of the city, a suburb of Boston, and that's where him and all his sisters and brothers grew up. So there's a whole clan of Hurleys over here. He was one of 8. So I've got lots and lots of cousins and aunts and uncles, and they're all mental. I love them a bit. I love them. But they're all a bit crazy. But yeah, I tell them why I came over here, and I just kind of needed a change, and that, I was living in Leeds after music college, and my band broke up, and that was what's keeping me there, and I just needed, I needed to shake it up. But that's what I kind of tell those people, and I wanted an adventure. But there was a bit more underlying it because I came over here and I used to spend my summers over here when I was a little one. Like my whole summer holidays from when I was 4 till 9, I would spend over here, and it was amazing. But like coming back and you're getting all those memories back, and it's like, wow, like it's really cool. But then when it got like pretty hard in the winter, because the first Boston winter nearly killed me, man. It was ridiculous. It's so cold and so
Serious
hot.
compared even to over here.
Yeah. Oh, way more cold, and it stays cold for a lot longer. It's that continental cold, It's like we get even though Britain's a lot higher in latitude, it gets the Gulf Stream, so it gets all the warm air coming up the Gulf of Mexico. So that's what keeps Britain slightly warmer, because it should be, way up in Canada, being covered in like feet and feet of snow. But yeah, over here that was a real shock. That cold. But then I had to deal with some other stuff because I only came to Boston between the ages of 4 and 9, because after that my father kind of just went off the radar, and so that was something that I kind of had to really deal with when I moved over here. It was just like brought right to the forefront of my being, because the sights and the smells and there's all kind of things that are just constant reminders.
Constant
And
triggers.
then when you, pardon?
Constant triggers.
Yeah, everything. It was wild. And then pair that with being alone, working full time in a stressful job, having a tiny little room in a sublet, like really drove me down and down, and I had to really conquer a lot of stuff.
Were you
When I
close to
came
coming
home.
back? At
Pardon?
were you close to coming back at any point?
No, no, I wasn't. I was like, something's going on. I needed to conquer it, and I was just like, at the back of my mind, because would actually, my sister tried to go and find him a while back, and she got pretty close, but he just wasn't there, and he was down in Key West in Florida. So I kind of knew at some point I've got to do this, and I've got to go and try and find him, So that was kind of the big thing that I think why I stayed, even though I was so kind of like down and depressed, and I just kind of knew there was a bigger picture going on. So yeah, I ended up going down a little while ago, and I ended up reuniting with the guy.
How was that? Was there a lot of peace in that, or was there a lot of questions? And how was that? Are you happy to open up about it? Or
Oh yeah, I am. I'm fine with it. It was
cool.
it was the best thing I've ever done in my life. Honestly, it was gave me a lot of closure. It was like all these missing pieces of the jigsaw, however cliche that might be, like having just your mother's side of the argument, or the upbringing, and not really getting to know my father as a man. I think that's very important. Like as and then having all those pieces fit together, finding out the reasons. Not that I needed a reason. The first thing I said to him was, I forgive you wholeheartedly. I forgive you and I love you. And that was it. Because before that, I had to do a lot of healing. I went through some therapy in Boston. I had to reassess everything in my life, like what I was doing to my body, what I was putting into my body, how I was treating myself, how that was affecting my mental well-being, how I can help in the best way possible. And obviously the main thing was to, just tackle the big demon, which I did, and it was crazy. I spent a few days with him on Key West, and he's a homeless alcoholic, but he lives a free life in a paradise island. He's kind of got it set. And it was, as much as it's kind of sad seeing that side, it's like I see him and I'm like, he's he doesn't seem sad or anything. And I got to know him, and he's like, he's happy there as much as he can be. He's got demons, and he does. You know, he's been on the sauce heavily all his life. You know, like a lot of the family over here have, my family here. And you know, I have as well. You know me from being in Leeds.
Emperors.
Yes. I can still, you know, party from time to time. Lots of love, Porto. Hey. Oh yes, big guy, Key West, Luca. Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
went down
yeah.
again. Actually,
Shout out Luca.
Luca met my old man. Because I went back a little while ago. Me and him had a bit of a knees up in Key West. We got a bit fucked up actually. I came off my bike then, and that's kind of the last time I got that wasted. I was like, you know what? Nah, it's not for me that much anymore.
So it seems a real pivotal turning point being out in Boston.
Mhm.
You know, it seems like there's a lot of growing, a lot of growth rather that you've done out there, which probably wasn't even on the agenda or the table when you got out there. But it
No.
feels there seems now like a real like short calmness to you being and how you are, man. Do you feel like you pushed through something that
Yeah.
you didn't even realize you needed to?
hmm Yeah, I did. But yeah, I kind of, like how you say, didn't realize I needed to because I was in such denial. I was quite angry for a lot of my kind of teenage years and even my early 20s, and I would do all sorts of negative coping mechanisms to kind of deal with that. But then, you know, once you eventually kind of wake up, and I always knew there's underlying like just questions and it's like having a rain cloud again, another cliche, just hanging over your head. It's just there, just constant nagging, you know, constant questions. And it didn't even go down with too many questions after that. But, you know, once they all got answered, I'm like, oh, just the being was the answer. And I was like, yeah, okay. And I was very calm. I came back and I was just like, I felt lighter. I felt spring in my step, and that spring's not gone out my step since. Or it doesn't go for very long. I'm a lot easier to get back up in calm, positive spirits. But yeah, I've been on quite a spiritual journey as well, adventure wise, and just challenging myself to just move to a different country, albeit an English speaking country which I was fairly familiar with. Still, you know, just to uproot and start fresh somewhere. You've still got
And
to learn
settle.
and settle. And it was a tough process, but it was a fun process and lots of wild times in the process and lots of adventure. And that's just more I want now. I just want more and more adventure over here. Just looking forward.
What's Boston like? I know from my understanding, limited understanding rather, of
hmm
Boston, I know that it's a massive rival to New York and the two like banter each other off. One's in one shadow, one's in the other's shadow. But I don't really actually know a lot about Boston other than that, really. So what is Boston like?
So Boston, you're gonna get a little tour of Boston now, because I also pedicab and I give tours on my pedicab. And bearing with that rivalry as well, like when the New York Yankees and the Sox play, and I'm on that pedicab, it's so much fun. There's so much energy there. It's like this. One of the pedicabbers has prided himself in never taking an open Yankees fan. And it's like when they play, like decorates his cab like Yankees suck, and he's all like "fuck you this, fuck you that." But yeah. Anyway, to Boston, it's the oldest city. It was one of the first settlements of the Pilgrims, and uh, the Puritans settled in Boston. So it was like super religious, and they settled there, and it was all marshland and whatever, and it was taken over from the Native Americans, the Massachusetts tribes. Um, which like I didn't even know. I was like, of course it sounds like a Native American name. Why didn't I ever think that?
I
Massachusetts.
never thought that.
Yeah, and then you say it, and it's like, oh, that makes sense. But yeah, they would come down from the mountains and fish down in the swamps. So most of Boston is actually landfill. They would drive loads of stone down. It was a like 30-year project just to do Back Bay, because it was it's only like the north end and the south end, which is really the original old land. But it was a pivotal place in the revolution because that's where it all kicked off, was Boston as well.
Yeah,
Like
the tea party.
Boston Tea Party.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no taxation without representation, and there was a bit of a hustle and bustle between like it was Sam Adams and Paul Revere, kind of like kickstarted the whole thing. Went and threw a bunch of tea in, and that was into the harbour, and that was the spark that ignited the flame of the revolution. And there was the bloodiest battle in the revolution in Boston as well, the Battle of Bunker Hill. So throughout the history, it's kind of like, in terms of America, it's got one of the most deepest histories. The Boston Common was, it's like got lots of firsts: the first library, first public garden, first underground transportation system, you know, all of this. Lots of politicians as well come from Boston and that. But Massachusetts and Boston is still a very white place, you know, in that sense. Recently, especially, it used to be a bit like grimy back in the 70s, and like how my father was describing it and the stuff he would get up to, I was just like, yeah, it's changed a lot. If you came back to Boston, you'd have a heart attack. He's like, is there any of the bars still down at Kenmore Square? And I'm just like, no, Kenmore Square is not like that anymore. But that was like the legendary area for like the hardcore and the punk scene in Boston, and like down at the Rat down there was, you know, legendary spot. And my father used to climb up the Sitco sign and watch baseball games and whatnot, which that can't happen anymore. But yeah, what was I saying? And there was a lot of crime. Tried to clean it up, and it's kind of moving in the direction of like San Francisco now. You know, it's gone. Everything's getting super expensive. You know, things pushed out. I'm devastated at the moment because there's a venue's just, my favorite venue in Boston's just been closed down. Great
How
Scott.
come?
R.I.P. The landlord's just refusing to let them renew the lease. I don't know the ins and outs, but I can't believe that it was just that easy that they could just shut it down. Like people were trying to petition, and like if it was really I don't know. I'm just sad about that, but I've just seen another few of my favorite businesses kind of come be priced out and have to move, you know.
So it's happening everywhere, not just over here. It's happening over there as well. Landlords wanting to get hold
and
of
Alston, especially this neighborhood. I mean, I'm lucky to have this house now because like it's a pretty expensive down here even because of its location, but they're just building so much around here that the prices are just gonna go up, and it's gonna force a lot of people out. Harvard are just like getting closer and closer. Harvard Uni is now like only about a couple of 100 meters down the road now.
So is that what a lot of it can be built on from there then, and a lot of people who leave there and obviously then want to become young professionals, is that where it's sort of going?
Yeah, so it's like young professionals and kind of students who can afford it around here. But this house, I've just got a really lucky, like, good deal. They've had this lease for a long time, and there's more people living in the house than, you know, rooms.
I never knew Harvard were there.
Yeah, Harvard's in Cambridge, which is a city just across the river, but I'm very close to Harvard Square, right from where I live. I cycle through it all the time, actually. But yeah, so just right up the street.
Where else have you been in America other than Key West while you've been over there? And has anywhere else sort of gravitated to a place where you might settle? Or are you fully feeling Boston for the foreseeable?
I'm in Boston. I'm going to see out this calendar year.
Does it even count this calendar year now?
I don't know. What is it? My friend said that we shouldn't call it like the quarantine or the COVID, or like when we refer to it in the future, call it the Great Pause.
Do you know this? Yes, this is why you're an emperor. Is it pause or is it reset? That's what I keep asking people. Is it pause or is it reset?
Pause, I think.
If it's pause, then it just picks up how it was, which it shouldn't. So, but if it's reset, then everybody's sort of recalibrated and
I think it's more of a grand awakening. Personally, I've seen a huge shift going on. I think a lot of people are starting to question a lot more things that are going on around them because of this.
100%.
A lot is not adding up and making sense. Um, and I think there is just a bit more of a spiritual awakening. People getting a bit, well, I hope so anyway. A lot of people I know have. I hope people don't just like, want to return back to how they were as people like it. People should be
But
trying
that,
to improve in this time. They should be trying to recenter themselves,
but that's
taking it
exactly it. I
as an
think
opportunity.
that's what comes with a pause. Is
Mm,
it just picks up where it's left off? But I do
yeah.
like the fact that someone is looking at it as an era to look back at, because I do look at it as like a revolution in resetting.
Hmm. I think so.
But sorry, I asked
About
if you
where
would.
am I in
Yeah,
America?
yeah.
Well, I want to do a big old trip, like a big road trip, a year, whatever, or 6 months at least. Just get a van, and that's what I wanted to do with this summer was to be working. I was meant to be on my pedicab, earning decent money, really decent money, getting myself a nice van so I can go and do my thing, um, which I still think I can do. I still hope I can do. I'm wishing it. Let's do it. Um, and do a big trip around America. There's so much I want to see, which I haven't been able to see since I've been here because I've been to so many cities. I've been out to LA, San Diego, I've been to New York like 5 or 6 times. I've been up to Maine and Vermont and New Hampshire, New Orleans, Miami, St. Petersburg in Florida, Okeechobee. I've been to Nashville, and then I went to Tennessee again.
Is this just for long weekends?
Pardon?
Is it for long weekends? How
Yeah,
long?
long weekends, weeks, a couple of them. I was out in LA I was out in California for 12 days. Went out to a festival and then went in LA and then went and stayed in San Diego for 10 days, which is amazing. But some of them are weekends. A couple of them that I mentioned were like working holidays, like Okeechobee and Manchester, Tennessee. I actually work. I managed to get on the festival crew for Pedicabbers, or like one of them on one of their met the right person at the right time with the right attitudes and got invited to go to a festival last minute to Pedicab. It was called Exit 111 Festival. First time they'd ever done it. It was Guns N' Roses, Leonard Skinner, and Def Leppard were the headliners. And it
Sick.
was just in this big old field on the Bonnaroo site. It was just a lot smaller. Bonnaroo is a huge festival, and yeah, I was just working this mad weekend at this festival with like all of these southern like rockers and metalheads, and it was amazing. It was so much fun, and I like made a bunch of money doing it as well. It was like the best. So like I started doing that, and I'm like, I think I found my calling. And then I did another festival, and it was bigger when I went down to Florida in March. It was actually the first and last festival that they've had this year, or the first big one that they were able to have. And then after that, it was kind of everything locked down. Um, but yeah, same again, like good vibes at that festival, super hippie. It was it was done in honor of a Guru Ram Dass who passed away this year. It's like very, very, very good vibes. Like got the like yoga, a little lake. And that was all paved, and wonderful, wonderful time that I managed to do these kind of working holidays. But I felt wasteful, like flying down to these places just for like a weekend to work and whatever. Almost guilty, and I want to do a big travel, and I see all of the other pedicabbers and how they live their life, and a lot of them do just constantly. They live in their van. They're constantly on the move.
I
If
was
they
going
if
to
they go
ask that. Is it something that you can uptake and do in any major sort of city or state?
no, yes and no. So you can with the if you get on like festivals and do events or like just go to like random like football stadiums and do it, you can kind of work them. Or in the cities, you mainly have to get individual city permits to operate in the cities. And Boston's pretty easy. You just need to live within the city or within like the neighboring towns. But I know some, like for instance, San Diego, I know you have to live there, be a California resident for at least a year before you can apply. So some places you can, oh, that's what I heard anyway. Um, but some places you can, some places you can't. But with the festivals and things like that, if you take your pedicab with you or leave it somewhere and go and pick it up or whatever, it's just great. It just seems like a great way to live. Or just take my guitar around and busk on the street.
Well, this is another thing that we're going to step to is you're in a new band
Okay.
now
Yeah.
called Rude. Yeah, shout out Greg every time. Called Rude. And I know when I was speaking to you before and we were having the Emperor sort of chats and it'd be like, you'll get out there and you'll find a band and it'll be properly sick. And this is a new project, well, a more recent project, isn't it? So
Uh-huh.
you've been there, what, 2 years now, is it?
Uh,
How
coming up three, actually. It was June 15th. I moved 2017.
So coming up to the third year, how many music projects have you been involved with out there?
I I've jammed with a few people, kind of jammed in my friend's basement for a bit, and then I started a band with another two friends, and that kind of we jammed twice, and that never took traction again because we were just a jam and didn't have really any goal. And then I did actually invite a couple of my friends to jam with me, and we did um a few rehearsals, and we got a couple of songs down. It was all my own material, and I kind of didn't know they were great songs, but it wasn't kind of like what I kind of envisioned myself going like down that direction for me to be authentic with it. Um, so I kind of just stepped back from that, which I kind of regretted at the time, and I've regretted a few times. I think I should have stuck through it and like let it work itself out. But also looking back, I needed the time to properly finish the song and process how I wanted to put it across. So I'm kind of doing that at the moment as a solo act. But then one of the guys that I was jamming with in my first band, or like the first couple of jam sessions, he just shot me a message randomly one day. And it was super weird how it happened because that morning before I went to work, I was in the kitchen and I was with my housemate Sander, and I was complaining about how I need to play live music again. It was driving me mad. Like I need to just like play with some like guys loud. And if not, I need someone to ask me to play, or if not, tonight I'm making a Craigslist advert and I'm just gonna like start a band or like ask to join a band. And I finished work that day and I went to India Pavilion in Central Square. I sat down and I had my samosas, just digging into them. And then my phone lights up. My friend Tim Williams just hits me up. It's like, hey Cam, do you wanna come and sing in a band? And I was like, all right, yeah. Or like, do you want to come and try out to sing? Like, come down to a practice. And I was like, yeah, like send me some songs. And he sent me some, and I wrote lyrics to four of them that night. I just wrote some ideas, and then went to the practice the next week, and they were just like, yeah, yeah, I think you're in.
It's mad that
And then it
you
was,
are you are you the front singer, you lead singer.
yeah,
So you weren't before in your band back over here, were you?
in Cole's Landing, I wasn't. I was played bass and I did some backing vocals. Um, but my first band in high school, I was the singer.
Right.
Yeah, I was the front man, and it's great to do that again, man, and to just let out the energy on stage. And I'm a bit of a performer. I do like that aspect of it.
Yeah, some of the photos
It's
look
great.
wild.
Yeah, yeah. That show with all the photos that I posted recently, that was a great one because that was again, I think maybe the last, or I think they had shows the day after, but after that the venues were shut down because of the virus and whatnot. But yeah, it was an amazing show, and there was a bunch of photographers there, and I was like, this is gonna be great. And so did the show as per, and I was so refreshed when I came back from the festival in such good spirits. I was like, let's fucking do this, rock and roll. But yeah, and the music's so energetic and fun, and the guys are so tight, and just it's fun. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I
Is that
like.
something that could counterbalance the looking to go travelling about, or do you think that it'll be something that'll be there when you come back?
I think, well, that's why I said kind of like I could do a 6 month thing or a couple of months at a time. Because, as long as I kind of go south for a bit, I don't mind coming north for if we need to like practice or we're doing this, like I would like to keep that going because, even now we're sending demos to each other and we're able to write somewhat. Um, and a lot of the times I've not been able to make practice because I'm like working away and just traveling and whatnot. And we've been able to make it work because they nail the songs and they just send me a video of them playing it. Then I'm kind of like get a feel of what I feel like the song could be like melody wise, and then kind of like get the lyric meaning behind it, and yeah, go from there. So most if not every song we've already done, they've sorted the music out prior, and like I would maybe go in with some ideas and we'll kind of then go in and tighten it all up together and finish the song together. But that's how it's worked, and I think that's definitely possible, especially with modern technology, for me to be able to then, even if I'm in a van, I'd still take my laptop, my interface and a microphone. I could shout maybe wherever I'll be parked. People might be questioning what's going on in that van.
That'd be ace. Thinking it's a sound booth. Like when you're at a festival and you're in a tent and you're just talking the most maddest nonsense about the naughtiest things because you're in a tent and everyone can hear around.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah,
what
and
I'll be
you
like.
think like, oh, it's fine, like no one can hear.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you unzip your tent and like, I've done that before, and like everyone sat there staring at me, and I'm like,
That's some good tent banter, that though. That's what it's about. But no, as long as you can keep both projects up, because it does seem like you say, you've got that release. It's almost like it were a calling that you were putting out, and it's come to you, and
yeah.
you look proper free in them photos. I was surprised to see you because I didn't know you had experience previous of being a front singer. So to
Hmm.
see you just in that element, but also just how free, like a lot of the photos, and you were proper
Yeah.
interactive with the crowd and that. And I thought, yeah, man. So I
Hmm.
thought if it's just getting off, if it's just starting out, it'd be a bit of a waste to like just almost stall it before it's had a chance to grow.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. Like I've talked to Tim briefly about it, and he said, man, this is like what we want to do, and I'm like, yeah, and he's right. He's like, give it a year, and I'm like, yeah, I do, but I've also got this huge calling inside of me that I can't really ignore at the minute, um, and I do think we can still do it, but I don't want to be living in Boston for another winter, to be quite frank with you. I need to escape. If I live here, then I'll have to like try and find a sublet or whatever. And I think it'd be better for me if I can just like live mobile, do my own thing. And I really wholeheartedly believe that that's going to help my musical process and my ability
More
to write.
stories.
More stories, more of that actual experience. And I always find I get my ideas most when I'm in motion, when I'm traveling. Like I do a lot of writing on planes, trains, buses, or even just when I'm somewhere else, when you're distancing yourself from your everyday life and you can really just kind of like hone in on like what you're thinking, what you're feeling, or like, yeah, rather than like me sat in my bedroom looking at my window. It's not the most inspirational place to write because you're still in that comfortable place. So I think if I'm constantly on the move, or like not on the move, or kind of like just taking a step back from society as well, and really hone my craft, because guitar is something I only started learning when I moved to America. I'd never played that before, really. I'd played bass, I played piano, I'd sung in bands, I could mess around and play a couple of songs with power chords, but that was about it. So I bought an acoustic guitar, my kind of after a year of living here. I should have got it earlier, because man, did it help. And then I've just played that almost every day since. And I think if I've just got me and myself and my guitar and my bike and my van, maybe a dog. Got a bit
Well,
of
yeah, driving across America and all them straight roads, like looking out at just all the crazy, like country, well, not countryside, but all just the mad scenic routes that you'll be able to go on.
yeah, really get out there. Because again, as I mentioned before, I've been to a lot of places. I've visited a lot of places since I've been here, but it's all cities. and it's great because you're absorbing the culture of these cities, and it's vibrant and have a great fun time. But nature's calling me big time. Nature is
Like Ace
calling.
Ventura.
Yeah. Oh! I disappear swinging from the trees. Um, but no, that's more Tarzan than Ace Ventura.
Yeah, I know. I was like, there is a bit where he does do that, so I allowed it. I allowed it.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for that. But yeah, kind of nature is calling me just to just get out and away from it all for a little bit, and I really think it'll be beneficial for a lot of things. And it's something that I personally am just feeling the pull at the minute. Just seeing in the next 6 months, if I can 6 to 8 months, if I can really just get myself sorted out and do the thing and make it work. I think I can, and find myself on the way in a more spiritual way, because I have been very much into that as well since being here. More mindful practices that I've been doing, just helping in general. And as I was saying about that festival down in Florida not too long ago, this guy who I just got given a book actually when I came back from Florida. And it took me a while to clock in that it was by the same guy who the festival was kind of like, what do you say?
Commemorating.
Commemorated for.
And
And
it was just random that book was given, and it was by
well, I'd
that.
seen it before. It's my very good friend Kat gave it to me. Oh, I had it, and she like decorates it, and it's beautiful. And I'd seen it before, and she gave it to me just to like look through properly, because I really wanted to read it and get the message. And read his first story about how he actually used to live right around here. And he went on a huge journey, like experimenting with hallucinogenics. He was a professor at Harvard. He ended up getting fired from Harvard because he was doing some mass experiments with hallucinogenics and giving psilocybin mushroom and acid to priests and school teachers and nurses and whatnot.
What?
But yeah, just trying to find like the answer to like deep burning questions, and he ended up eventually kind of like getting that peace on his huge quest, taking him to a guru in the foothills of the Himalayas
Wow.
and whatnot. And I've been doing a lot of my, I guess, practices to I don't know,
Further yourself. Further go inside.
And I think kind of, I don't know, I want to do this America thing. I know that there's going to be a bigger journey at some point. I really feel that I need to go to India for quite a while. Like eventually, I'll do a big old journey out there at some point. Because I think it's very important for me now.
What's the name of the book? What's the name of the book?
Be Here Now. And it's by the Lama Foundation. But it's just how it's presented. I should probably go and show you it, because it's just beautiful. It's like a story, but it's like you can't read it all in one sitting. There's just too much to take in. It's just, and how it moves down the page, and how that in turn makes you think about real like life questions of like what it is to be this conscious human in the world right now, and how to lose the ego and live in peace in a more kind of like in the present time. But this is, I've read a few other books. There's one called what's it called? The Power of Now.
Eckhart Tolle, mate. That's the Bible. That's the greatest book.
Eckhart Tolle is the man.
Yeah, 100%.
So that was the first. I'd had that for a while. My old housemate Harry gave me that, when we lived in Leeds together, I think in third year of uni, and I read a couple of bits, and I don't think I was ready to kind of do that. I was like, yeah. But I brought it to America with me, and then I read it then. When it really, like, when I hit my really low points, it was like, right, let's read the good stuff. Like, let's sort this stuff out. And then that really helps me in just your day-to-day living, and how to kind of be a bit more calm and in peace in general. And I guess I just want to further that, because if I have this body for this amount of time on this planet in this dimension, then I want to kind of live, I guess, true. I don't want to get to the end and be like, I was completely absorbed in capitalist societies all my life, or I was playing to my ego for a lot of my life and not being true and not being kind enough in this. I've had so many like nightmares of like what would happen on my deathbed. Like, not that I'm afraid of dying, I'm just afraid of not living. Or I was, and I've kind of got that strong lust for life, and this huge wanderlust. I don't know. I just think there's a lot to see on this spiritual plane, a lot to find out about ourselves, and I think it would be a wasted opportunity to get to the end and be like, I didn't really delve in there, I've obviously taken a couple of hallucinogens in my past.
I hear you, brother. I was on Thursday, mate. I'm telling you now, man. I'm telling you now, some chalky mushrooms, man. They were absolute. Oh, wow. Beautiful, beautiful. And you just feel like unblockages been removed. Like, you feel like there's a sense of like, I can feel that resonance inside me of that place where I went. Mm-hmm. And I know that I've drawn that from the universe even further, and it's cleared out what it's needed to, and it's put me, I can just feel a lot more acutely in tune with what is the present. So they definitely have their perks, shall we say. And also, from what you were just saying then, it feels like you've got an ease with the way that you put, I definitely want to do a bit in India. It feels now, because you've done like the big jump across the Atlantic, it feels now like saying something like, I'll do India or whatever. It doesn't feel like it's as a big as hesitancy towards approaching these big, like, not drastic, but, massive changes in culture and in living style.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely helped. Like, and I think also just having, because I've traveled a lot, but like going out to even into Thailand and seeing Bangkok and having that culture shock and seeing that kind of like madness, and really I was like, I loved it. I would just like go out on walks in the morning by myself and just like see all the people going to work and being in the hustle and bustle, and I was just like, this is class. Just like that culture shock and really like taking it all in and whatnot. It was amazing. It was amazing. It wasn't like, and obviously it was still relatively Western. You could still get away with whatnot, and I kind of just, where was I going with that? I kind of just want more of that after all of this. I really want to see America and really see it, the beautiful country, the big country as it is, and do my thing. And again, who knows where I'll be, but that is just, it's one that's always going to be on my bucket list. Going to India, and it's such a beautiful country, and it's where all the main peaceful religions of the world are formed from there. And I think if I'm really gonna go on the big journey, it's the big journey is within yourself, and you can do that from anywhere in the world. But I think a geographical journey will also help along the process of that, when I'm ready. It all happens when you're ready. It really does. It all happens when it's meant to.
I respect that. I think the final ones from me then is, do you see yourself ever coming back? Obviously on holiday you'll be back, but do you see yourself ever settling back?
I do. That's another thing that I've thought about. I love where I grew up. I love the Northumberland coast. I love the northeast. I love Leeds. Will always, it holds a very special place in my heart. Being there from 19 till 26, I was. Important times. But what was I saying? Life's got many chapters, and you think about life and mortality, and it's like your relationships relationships, I've noticed, especially a lot more recently, I've been reaching out and making, not necessarily, I've apologized to a couple of people about like things I've done and things I've said, just growing and whatever, and realizing how these relationships are very integral and are really to life and to sustaining it. There's a lot of me kind of going out and doing my own thing because fuck it, I can or whatever. But now I'm thinking more like that, and I want to be around my family, like my mother. See wherever she'll be when age is gonna come, time is moving forward. There's gonna be times where she's gonna be getting older, and I would love to return back. I think then, and maybe settle. It's always it's got a place to my heart. But we'll see if I do find another home where I'll put down my roots. But I don't know. It's really hard for me to think about putting down my roots because I'm in such a free place.
Free place, yeah. You can tell, man.
And I've got a lot more traveling to do before I can be like, okay, this is the place. But there's a lot of places I know that I could be happy where I'm living right now. I already know that I can find happiness, and I know that I don't need much for it. I really don't. I need food and water and shelter. Sometimes not even. A hammock will do, or a well-placed bush to sleep under.
Final two from me.
Yeah.
Final two from me is what's the biggest difference between the English and Americans that you found?
Americans can't drink.
Yeah?
And the bars are worse.
Fair. And would you consider doing Burning Man?
Yeah. At some point, but like again, I don't know. People always complain about it. It's not what it used to be, but I'm sure it's still pretty crazy.
No, it's sick.
Yeah, I'd definitely do something like that. Just have this on all the time because I cannot be in the sun in the desert. Me, I don't do too well.
It suit you that, mate. I reckon Burning Man as well. Like a lot of the chat that you've spoke about, I think Burning Man will help accelerate a lot of the things that you've been discussing, and no doubt there's a lot of synchronicities that have been tying up from what you've been saying a lot with the book, with the music, and how things of the universe has been reaching out with you with certain things that you've obviously attained and grabbed hold of. So I think something like Burning Man you'd really prosper and benefit from as well, man.
I do think so. Well, I'll hopefully be on a big old road trip at some point.
We'll get 2021 written in, mate. We'll definitely do it. We'll look to boss it off.
Yes.
All right, Emperor.
You just made it happen. Let's follow the universe.
100%, mate. We're in. 100%. I'm going to bounce, but you take it easy and let's have a catch up away from this anyway. Good to reconnect, my brother.
Yeah. Fantastic, Ben. Lovely to see you as well and chat.
Bless your heart.
Bless.
You take it easy. Peace.
Namaste.
Namaste, ESG. There we are. That instalment of Loose Lips was catching up with Cam Hurley, who is settled in Boston. So we're speaking to him about American life. And what really came through from that is just the breakthrough that he's made through in a sense of his self-development and more along the spiritual path as well, and his growth into the nourishment of nature and the universe and looking to expand his horizon and his mind on this adventure of life. So real cool words and resonance coming from him. So amazing to reconnect with my boy, Cam Emperor Hurley. If you're new to this is Loose Lips. It's a good vibes only chat show. We've been going for a month now since lockdown started, probably a couple of weeks into it. So if you want to see the back catalogue of my previous chats, go to YouTube, go to Pop Cult Chic, put that in and you can see the previous chats. And likewise on Instagram, if you follow pop.cult.chic, that's pop.cult.chic, you put that in and you can find all the previous chats on there as well. I've got another, how many chats have I got now? I've got another 2 chats coming up. So we're going to be speaking with Kelly, who I'll be chatting with at 6, and we're going to be speaking with her about all things nutritional based and well-being. And then after that at 7, we'll be speaking with the one and only Stephanie Hurst. So make sure you join me back on my Instagram at Ben Random to keep in touch with those. Until then, peace and light to you and yours. Take it easy.